Yes, hello once again, and thanks for returning to the world's favourite classic dirt bike TV channel as we continue taking a look at the racing action from the Westmoreland Motor Club's two-day Jubilee Scramble event held at the Westmoreland County Showground. Now, in this part 5 video, we're going to continue with the racing highlights from the Sunday's race programme, and our next race that you can see on the line there is the Twinshock over 250s Heat 2. But I do hope you've enjoyed everything from this event that you've seen so far. So as the riders leave the line for the Twinshock over 250s, looks like a good start there by, I think that's Jimmy Margetson, number 119 on the 490 Michael, who's got the whole shot there. So it's Jimmy Margetson, number 119, your race leader, into turn 3. So as we begin at lap 1, it is indeed Jimmy Margetson on that flying 490 Michael. Second position, just making his way around there, is number 14, who in fact is again not listed in the racing programme, so I'm unable to identify that particular rider. Again, as you can see, the track is very dry at this point, and the dust beginning to fly here at the Westmoreland County Showground, but it's still number 119, Jimmy Margetson, your race leader. I think that number 14 could possibly be Richard Mason, if I remember correctly. Number 18 just going through there is Jim Colligan. And just coming towards us there in the yellow bike is number 109, that's Chris Dainty on his RM Suzuki. But it's still number 119, that's Jimmy Margetson, who's absolutely flying on that German-made 490 Michael. I'm just waiting on our second placed position rider making his way through. I don't know who that is at this stage, but I will tell you as soon as I find out. So there's your race leader, number 119, Jimmy Margetson on the Michael. And actually I think it's Ben Margetson who is in second position, also riding a Michael, so I'm assuming that both these guys are related in some way, possibly brothers, but if that's not the case then I do apologise. And here's your second placed rider here, number 116, that's Ben Margetson, again doing quite well on one of these German Twinshock Michaels. Third position there is number 14, I think that's Richard Mason, who looks like he's riding one of those big 500 CR Husqvarna bikes. So as we take a look at some of the other riders coming through, number 156 there, that's David Bateman on the XR500 Honda 4-stroker. We're looking down the track to our race leader, that's Jimmy Margetson, who is already coming up to pass a few of the slower riders on the track, so I'll give you an idea how quick Jimmy is going on that 490 Michael. Now these 1981 490 Michaels, it's amazing just how quick these bikes are, and if you get the right rider on one of these bikes they can certainly give a modern bike a chase for their money. And when you consider these bikes are now more than 40 years old, it's amazing how Michael got their sums absolutely right in 1981 when they designed this iconic machine. So as we take a look at Jimmy Margetson as he heads towards the checkered flag on his last and final lap, this has been quite a good ride here by Jimmy. Looks like he's going to be untroubled by any challenges as he heads towards the finish line. So it's a win for number 119, and I think Jimmy's brother or relation is certainly going to cross that line in second position as we take a look at number 116. That's Ben Margetson, so it's a good family 1-2 for these riders. So it's a win for Jimmy Margetson, with Ben Margetson just about to cross the line in second position. Okay, next up we have the CCM's pre-1974 and pre-1978 bikes as they leave the line. Looks like Lewis Bell has made quite a good start once again on his CCM, but that looks like Tony Barnes, who's maybe taken the lead early on. So we're just looking to the top section of the track to pick up a race leader. And in fact, I think it's actually Tony Barrow who's got the lead of this race, number 7, riding, of course, his late father's Works CCM bike. And I think that's Lewis Bell in second position as the riders make their way down the hill. Quite a fast part of the track, this is downhill turn. But it's certainly great to see these old CCMs once again taking to the track, and of course keeping the memory of the late Alan Clues, who formed CCM many years ago, to keep his memory alive. But it's Tony Barrow, number 7, who is your race leader. I think it's Lewis Bell in second position. Remember, Tony Barrow is riding that factory CCM, where I think Lewis's bike there, number 9, is a reproduction of a 1974 CCM, but nonetheless a CCM all the same. We're taking a look at number 50 there with the black top. That's Leslie Calderwood, the brother of Trevor Calderwood, who did quite well in previous races. Les has been away from the racing scene for about 2 years now, and this will be his first ever race back, so it's good to see Les back on his old race bike once again. So it's still Tony Barrow, your race leader. A very famous machine, this bike of Norman Barrow's. Full factory works machine, of course, and I think it still has quite a few of the factory fittings on it. I don't think Tony's changed much on this bike at all, maybe a few tyres now and then, but I think it's still the bike as it was back in the 1970s when his late father Norman rode it to great success. Number 55 going through there is Keith Barnes. I think Keith is riding a Clues stroker machine. But seeing these old CCMs taking part in classic scrambling just gives you an idea of how quick these bikes were back in the 1970s, and these big British made 4-stroke machines were taking on just about the best that the Japanese could offer at the time, and these were winning races on a regular basis when you had the likes of Jimmy Aird and Bob Wright and Mike Barnes riding these Alan Clues bikes. But it's fantastic just to see them still racing on the track. So it's a win for Tony Barrow, with Lewis Bell crossing the line in second position, as we take another look at Leslie Calderwood just coming through to complete his last and final lap. Okay, the next race on the line is of course the Twinshock 125A and B classes. We've seen some nice racing from these little 125s in previous races, so hopefully we'll see some more action from these 125 screamers as they leave the line. That looks like a good start by Chris Winder, but it looks like Chris has went a bit wide on the corner, so he's lost the initiative. But it looks like Ian Knight has taken the early lead, but we have a couple of riders with a little coming together. So we're picking up our race leaders as they begin lap 1. It looks like it's Ian Knight, number 21 on the YZ 125, who is your race leader at the moment. Ian has been going very well on this little bike over the course of the 2 days, and that looks like number 427 in second position. That's Lee Holland, also on a YZ 125 bike, and we just got a glimpse there of that rare little 125 Michael being ridden by Nick Payton. So it's still Ian Knight, number 21, who's now just been passed by Lee Holland. So Lee Holland has certainly got a move on his particular YZ 125. So we're just looking to the bottom section of the track to pick up our race leader. It's still Lee Holland, who's now been caught by Chris Winder. Chris Winder, of course, is riding the Elsinore 125 Honda at this point. He rode his CR250 Elsinore in the Saturday's race programme and did very well in it, but he's certainly catching Lee Holland on his little YZ 125. But a good race looking like it's developing here between these two quite talented riders. Third position is Ian Knight, number 21, just making his way through. Number 51, I think that's Mr. Stokes himself, or Martin Stokes, to give him his full title. Number 104 just passing there, that's Kevin Thornton on that beautiful KTM 125, another very rare machine, but it's Lee Holland, your race leader on the yellow YZ 125. These yellow Yamahas, of course, were mainly for the international sales for the likes of the USA, etc., and of course the white YZ 125s were mainly for sale in Europe. But Lee Holland is doing very well on his particular YZ. Chris Winder is still in second position, but Chris Winder in second place there on the 125 Elsinore has been absolutely superb the entire weekend here at the Westmoreland County Showground, and as you can see, Chris is just as quick on this little 125 as he was riding his 250 in the Saturday's race programme. So it's still Lee Holland, your race leader, with Chris Winder in second position. But we're looking at the battle for third position between Ian Knight, Martin Stokes, and I think that's number 224, that's Andrew Hinchcliffe, just very close behind there. But as we look to the far side of the track, it's still Lee Holland, your race leader, and second position is still Chris Winder. But any one of these two riders could still win this race, but Lee Holland is the race leader at this point. But you should never rule out Chris Winder. I'm sure Chris will have a go before the checkered flag, but Lee is certainly in command of this 125 race at this time. But you can imagine these little 125s are working very hard in this Westmoreland County Showground racetrack, usually dancing up and down the gearbox on these little 125s to make up for their lack of overall power, but nonetheless are still very quick around this racetrack at the moment. But it's Lee Holland with a slight advantage over Chris Winder. As we take a look at number 29 in the green there, that's Mark Beatson on that little KX125 Kawasaki. But it looks like Chris Winder is now your new race leader. Looks like Chris has passed Lee Holland for that track position, so Chris Winder could be on his way for another win here at the Westmoreland County Showground. Another great display of riding from this very talented rider. So it's Chris Winder who is your race leader. Second is Lee Holland. And so as Chris Winder heads towards the checkered flag, it's going to be his first win on the Sunday on his little 125, and it's going to be Lee Holland who's going to cross the line in second position. As we take a look at that lovely machine from Nick Payton at number 468, that lovely 125 Michael machine, a very rare bike indeed to see on a racetrack, and this is the second day that Nick's been racing this little 125, so it's been quite reliable thus far. And as I mentioned, it's not often you see these little Michael 125s taking to a racetrack. Okay, our next race on the line is the Classic Prix 1978s for riders up to the age of 38. So these are basically the young pups of the classic racing scene, but it looks like it's Liston Bell who's made the early running. It looks like James Thompson in second position on the Rickman Jap machine. So as they come towards us, it's number 98 Liston Bell. Second is James Thompson. Third, it looks like it's Christian Marshall. 11 is Harry Stitt on that other Rickman Jap machine. So as we look to the top side of the track, it is indeed number 98 Liston Bell who leads number 26 James Thompson, and I think Liston is riding his 600 Jawa machine in this race. James Thompson of course riding that Jap bike with the Rickman chassis. But this has been a good start by Liston Bell, one of Scotland's top classic racers, Liston, and of course his younger brother Lewis. So it's still Liston Bell, number 98, who leads Irishman James Thompson, number 26. James Thompson, of course, one of the team of riders who ride these bikes for Cecil Pearson. James, of course, is one of the team members alongside Harry Stitt, Adrian Lappin, and of course John Griffiths. But it's still Liston Bell who has the advantage as they come round to complete another lap. But I have to say, this has been a fantastic weekend of racing here at the Westmoreland County Showground, and it's been a great event. We've seen some fantastic bikes on the track, and of course many of the beautiful bikes that we saw in the paddock earlier on. Certainly never saw every bike, but we certainly saw some real gems over the course of the weekend. But it's still Liston Bell who leads number 26 James Thompson in second position, but it looks like James Thompson is trying to line up a pass on Liston Bell. Now it looks like Liston is slowing slightly there. He may have some kind of mechanical problem. Yep. Looks like Liston is heading, unfortunately, for a DNF. It looks like his bike's let him down, but of course that's the reason we love these old classic bikes, that I'm sure Liston will be looking forward to spending another week in the garage with the spanners on his old bike. But that leaves the door open now for this man here, number 26 James Thompson, and that's the downside of the old classic bikes, of course, the reliability. But looks like James Thompson has not got any of those issues as yet, which is quite surprising really when you consider that these are 1930s engines in these chassis. But that may be down to the mechanical genius of Cecil Pearson. As we look at Christian Marshall just making his way through. But it's a pity that Liston's bike let him down, because we're looking forward to a grandstand finish between those two riders. But as James Thompson heads towards the finish line. It looks like it's going to be another win for James at this event. I think he won about 3 races in the Saturday's race programme, so it looks like James is heading towards another win here on the Sunday. So as he comes to take the checkered flag, it's a win for number 26, James Thompson from Northern Ireland. And it looks like Christian Marshall is going to come through here and take that second place position on that beautiful BSA. Okay, our next race on the line is the Classic Pre 78 for riders aged 39 to 58. So a nice lineup of riders for this race once again. Looks like the 5-second board is up. And so as they leave the line once again, it looks like a good start there by, I think that's Wayne Partington, who's made a good start on the CZ bike. Ian Buchanan has also made a good start. So it's Wayne Partington on the CZ who is your race leader. Second is Ian Buchanan, number 4. And number 661 in the middle there on the Michael is Carol Hodgson. So as the riders make their way around to begin lap 1, we'll just try and pick up our race leader once again, who it looks like it is Wayne Partington, number 302 on the CZ machine. As I mentioned previously, very popular bikes for this type of classic and vintage racing, these Czechoslovakian CZ. There's so many different upgrades and different parts that you can buy for these bikes, and they make a very popular choice for a classic race bike. But it looks like Ian Buchanan has now taken the lead of this race, number 4. Ian's also riding a CZ bike, and in fact in third place is Keith Best, who yet again is riding one of these Czechoslovakian CZs or CZs if you're watching this in the United States. And so as the riders complete lap 1, it looks like it's still Ian Buchanan, your race leader. Second is Wayne Partington. Ian Buchanan, of course, a very quick rider on these light and quite nimble 2-stroke CZ machines. And Wayne Partington there, number 302. Now, of course, the final part of the racing from the Sunday's race programme will be posted soon. That will be part 6. I didn't actually film every single race on the Sunday because they did have 27 races on the Sunday, so I've certainly filmed up to race 20, so you will see the conclusion of that footage coming up in part 6. But it's still Ian Buchanan, your race leader, from number 302, Wayne Partington, and both riders, of course, riding 2-stroke CZs. Now, if this is the kind of racing and the kind of bikes that you like to look at here on YouTube, then please consider subscribing to my channel. Just hit that subscribe button, or maybe even just hit the like button if you like the video that you're watching. But if you subscribe to my channel, every time I upload a brand new video, you will be the first person to be notified. So it's still Ian Buchanan who is your race leader. It looks like John Griffiths has now moved up into second position on the Cecil Pearson Rickman Jap machine. It just seems that there's no getting away from these Rickman Japs this weekend. They've certainly been a force to be reckoned with here at the Westmoreland Jubilee event. So it's Ian Buchanan first, John Griffiths in second position. So this could be quite a good battle to the finish line between the 2-stroke CZ and the Rickman Jap of John Griffiths. Wayne Partington is still in third position. But once again, this has been another fantastic ride by Ian Buchanan on the CZ, and He took the lead of this race quite early on, and he's still in command, although John Griffiths is certainly closing him down on that big 600 Jap machine. So as they make their way round on their last and final lap, it's still Ian Buchanan who is your race leader from John Griffiths from Northern Ireland, number 33, who appears to be closing in on Ian Buchanan, so Ian will have to keep it tight on the turns. So just a few turns to go, but it looks like John Griffiths has now made the move on Ian Buchanan, so as they head towards the checkered flag, it looks like it's going to be a win for John Griffiths on the Jap, and Ian Buchanan is going to have to settle for that second position. So next race on the line is the Classic Pre 1978 class for riders aged over 58. Now these will be the veterans of this class, but nonetheless there are still some very quick riders in this class. So as they leave the line, it's another good start by Peter Hollinshead on the SRM BSA Twin. Trevor Calderwood's also made a good start on the CZ, but it's certainly Peter Hollinshead who has the early lead of this race. And it's quite an old bike, this of Peter's. I think it's a late 1950s, I think it's a 57 BSA. So as the rest of the chasing pack make their way through to begin lap 1. So as we look to the bottom section of the track to pick up our race leader, it's still Peter Hollinshead with the advantage over number 32, Trevor Calderwood from Northern Ireland. Looks like Peter Williamson is in third position on the 400 Myco machine. This has been a good start by Peter Hollinshead. Very experienced and very quick rider on this SRM BSA. So it's Peter Williamson there, number 33, in third position, as we watch the rest of the chasing pack making the turn to cross the line to complete their first lap. Now of course I didn't film every single race on the Sunday because there was 27 races, but I did film up until race 20. So if you were taking part in those races up until race 20, then you may still be able to see yourself in action on the racetrack. So as we pick up our race leaders once again, it's still Peter Hollinshead who is in first position. It looks like Trevor Calderwood is still in that runner-up spot at the moment, with Peter Williamson in third place, but this is quite a good scrap between these three quite quick riders, but it's still advantage Peter Hollinshead on the SRM BSA Twin. Trevor Calderwood trying to make his way around the outside, but Peter Hollinshead is still in control of this race. Now you may remember seeing Peter in action in one of the CCM races earlier on, when Peter was riding his completely original 1979 4-valve CCM, a very rare bike and quite original, with that upgraded 4-speed CCM gearbox. But here's Peter Hollinshead. He's currently leading this race on his BSA Twin. Second now is Peter Williamson. Trevor Calderwood is now down to third position. As we take a look at number 41, that's Peter Dobinson on that lovely sounding Rickman Triumph machine. But here's the battle for the lead of this race, and it looks like Peter Williamson is now your new race leader on the 400 Myco. Peter Hollinshead is now in second position. I think it's still Trevor Calderwood in third, but Peter Williamson looks like he's heading off now into the distance on the two-stroke Myco machine. So another good performance by Peter Williamson. So Peter's already crossed the finish line to begin his last and final lap of this race. It's still Peter Hollinshead in second position. Trevor Calderwood, it's still in third. Number 7 there, just being passed, is Johnny Walker. And Johnny's riding another Michael machine, but as our race leader heads towards the checkered flag, it looks like it's going to be a win for Peter Williamson, number 33 on the Michael. This has been a good ride by Peter as he comes round to take the checkered flag, but it's going to be Peter Hollinshead in second position with Trevor Calderwood coming across the line in third. Okay, our next race on the line is the Twinshock 250 class. We've had some good racing from these guys over the course of the 2 days. So the 5-second board is now up, and as they leave the line and head into turn 1. And it looks like it's been another good start by Ryan Ireland, number 43 on the Honda Red Rocket. So as they come round to take turn 3, it is indeed number 43, Ryan Ireland, who is your early leader. So as we pick up our race leader once again, it's still Ryan Ireland, number 43. And second place now, that looks like it's number 5. I think that's Jake Mason in first position now, as Jake has just passed Ryan for that track position. So it's number 5, Jake Mason, who leads this race with Ryan Ireland in second. I think Jake Mason's also riding a 250 Honda Red Rocket. This looks like it's got a good race in prospect from these two very quick riders, but it looks like Ryan Ireland is now taken back that pole position spot from number 5, Jake Mason. So hopefully we'll see a good race between these two very quick riders. We take a look at some of the other riders making their way through. Number 227 on the white bike there, that's Adrian Leach on his 250 Michael. But it looks like it's still Ryan Ireland who has regained control of this race. Second position is still Jake Mason. So Jake took the lead of this race early on, but it looks like Ryan has fought back and now it sits in that pole position, but it's Jake Mason in second spot as they come round to complete another racing lap. So it's Ryan Ireland who leads number 5, Jake Mason. I think in third place there, I think that's James Shand, who is in third position on his YZ 250 Yamaha. So looks like he's trying to get in on the action and trying to make a move on number 5, Jake Mason. So this could be quite a good scrap before the end of this race between these three riders. And it looks like Jim Shand is now past number 5, Jake Mason, for that second place position. It looks like Jim Shand has certainly got a shift on, and Ryan Ireland could be coming under pressure from Jim Shand on that YZ 250 bike before the end of this race. But it's still Ryan Ireland who leads from number 329, Jim Shand, and of course number 5, Jake Mason in third position. So we're looking at our race leader, Ryan Ireland, who starts his last and final lap of this race, but this has been a good ride by Ryan on the 250 Honda Red Rocket. Now it should be Jim Shand who just goes through in second position. There he is, number 329 on his YZ 250, but quite a nice picturesque racetrack here at the Westmoreland County Showground, and quite a good spectators track, and you can see quite a bit of the action just even watching it track side. So here's your race leader as he comes round to take his win. It's Ryan Ireland. Another well-deserved win by Ryan on the Honda 250 Red Rocket. I think it's Jim Shand who's going to cross the line in second position, but this has been a very good ride by the Honda rider. So as he crosses the finish line, it's a win for Ryan Ireland, with Jim Shand in second and Jake Mason in third. Okay, that brings us to the final race for this part 5 video of the racing action from the Sunday, the CCM Twinshock and the CCM monoshock bikes. So a nice collection of old CCMs in this race. And it looks like Joel Hughes is back out again on that CCM with the Yamaha 4-stroke engine in the chassis. So it's Joel Hughes who has the early lead. But quite a good collection of old CCMs in this race. We have the older 1970s Twinshock bikes, and of course the later 80s and 90s CCMs with the monoshock rear end, and like this bike here of Joel Hughes, CCM chassis of course, but not a CCM engine, because this has a YZF 400 I think, or 465 Yamaha engine in the chassis, but very quick, as you can see, in the hands of Joel Hughes. Now during their lifetime, CCM did fit a few different makes of engine into their chassis, including of course the big 4-stroke Rotax engines, which were hugely successful in these CCM bikes. But this bike of Joel Hughes is certainly very quick with that Yamaha 4-stroke motor. Now if you did attend this event over the course of the 2 days, you will have seen the superb collection of CCM bikes from Rob Hughes, and if you didn't get a chance to actually look at them on the day, then stay tuned to my Classic Dirt Bike TV channel, because we're shortly going to make the trip to Rob's collection and take some videos and pictures of his superb CCM machines. But again, this has been another good ride here by Joel Hughes on the CCM bike. Joel of course was out just recently there in one of the other races, riding a 4-stroke Husqvarna machine, and looking very quick on it, but he's also looking good on this particular CCM machine. So it's Joel Hughes, your race leader, as he heads to complete another racing lap. And don't forget, you can see the remaining races up to race 20 in the final video posting on my YouTube channel, which will be coming very soon. I do hope you've enjoyed all that's went down here at the Westmoreland County Showground event, because it's been a fantastic weekend of bikes and racing. So look out for the final part of the racing coming soon. As we take a look at number 76, that's John Cash on his particular CCM. Just coming towards us there is number 153, that's Andrew Savage on his particular Twinshock CCM bike. So as we take a look once again at Joel Hughes as he crosses the line to start his last and final lap of this combined CCM Twinshock and CCM monoshock race. This has been another good performance by Joel. Looks like nobody's going to be close enough to make a challenge on Joel before the end of this race, so it looks like Joel's heading towards his second win of the day. But once again, I do hope you've enjoyed all the racing footage thus far from this 2-day event here at the Golden Jubilee Scramble event. And don't forget, the final video posting from this Sunday's racing will be posted very soon here on my channel. But once again, thank you very much for your time and for retuning to Classic Dirt Bike TV.